now had an exclusive and extensive conversation with this 17-year-old Sarthak Sidhant. He's put out all the details of the lapses which he alleges are happening within the system. He's demanding that the center should be more transparent. Let's listen in to what he had to say.
So the controversy that has been surrounding as far as CBSE re-evaluation is concerned, and putting out the facts here before us and in front of the people there, of course, when it comes to multiple students who have been affected because of this re-evaluation program that has now become digitized, is Sarthak Sidhant, a 17-year-old student who has written this extensive blog. He's joining us here on Times Now. Sarthak, thank you very much for taking out your time. And let's talk about this blog that you have written, because this is regarding co-empt company and how tender was given, to other companies which were competing against it. So why it was favored, I believe those are the very pertinent questions that you have raised in your blog. It's a bit technical for others to go through it, but Sarthak, if you can briefly summarize on the questions that you have been raising, and I believe that you have also done extensive research and gone through multiple documents.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you for Times. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Times Now, for inviting me to your platform. I'm Sarthak Sidhant. I'm a class 12 student. I would like to. I have pointed out some flaws and some problems with the tender documents that I have analyzed. The tender documents were changed in favor of co-empt edutech. I'll summarize the entire story for all the viewers there. On 4th February 2026, on 4th February 2025, a tender was passed by CBSE and then it was cancelled. It was wiped off the internet. I could not find it on GEM portals or anywhere on the government platforms. On 2nd May 2025, CBSE released the tender again for OSM evaluation, inviting bidders. 4 bidders applied, including TCS and co-empt edutech, and CBSE cancelled them because no one could qualify the qualifying criteria, and CBSE cancelled them. All of them failed technical evaluation. Then on 28th August 2025, CBSE releases another tender. And they release a tender this time with a new RFP. RFP is request for proposal, where the notice, the committee, where CBSE as an institution invites people based on the technical documents and stuff. So that's one thing. On 28th August 2025, CBSE releases a tender with RFP documents. And the RFP, I have compared both the RFPs side by side, and I have seen some changes that might have been done in co-empt's favor, and which is very suspicious. These changes being here are very suspicious. So first of all, I'd like to give some background about co-empt edutech. Co-empt edutech was known as Globe Arena. They have been very notorious in the market for playing with students' lives, I'd say, because in 2019 Telangana State Board examinations, co-empt software failed miserably and largely, which led to a lot of students taking their lives, which is very sad. This company was on the brink of being blacklisted. And this company does have poor performance. We can see this is a record of poor performance. So in the RFP documents that I've compared, I have seen that the record of poor performance, there were 3 clauses of record of poor performance, that if the performance had a bad clause,
so basically, Sarthak, if I just summarize, what you are saying is you are claiming that the rules, the terms and conditions and clauses were rewritten to favor a specific vendor, and this vendor happened to be co-empt edutech. This is a name change. And what are your views as far as when it comes to the claim that you can tell our viewers what you have found so far in the research? Because the companies that were bidding for the tender, and in your research, how you found that the criteria was actually lowered so that co-empt could find its place in bidding?
Ma'am, I found out that the first thing I found out that there were 3 clauses of record of poor performance, that the service provider, which is co-empt in this case, would be disqualified. This was in the old RFP. They said that the old RFP said that the service provider would be disqualified if they had record of poor performance. all the three clauses said something like this. But these clauses were totally removed from the new RFP. The new RFP was issued on 28 August. In 3 months, this change happened. 3 months, CBSE decided that they would entertain service providers that have bad performance, that have a record of poor performance. Then the second thing that I'd like to point out is the blacklisted clause. In the earlier RFP, there was a blacklisted clause, which was that if the company was blacklisted earlier, they would have been disqualified.
Right. But Sarthak, one point, because the CBSE meanwhile has denied these allegations, claiming that the general financial rules protocols were followed scrupulously when it comes to awarding the contract. So how would you respond to that claim?
Ma'am, your voice is really
Now, I want to know exactly when it comes to the financial rule protocols, the CBSE seems to be saying that they have followed the rules according to them, especially when it comes to awarding such contracts. So how would you respond to that?
Ma'am, I would like to say the first thing is that this is not based on, the tender says that it is not based on the L1 criteria. This is clearly based on QCBS criteria, which compares technical evaluations and all the things. The second question I'd like to ask CBSE is, why was the RFP documents changed? Why were the tender documents changed 3 times? Why did CBSE have to issue 3 tenders and keep changing them until COEMT was qualified? These are the questions I'd like to ask CBSE. Why is CBSE giving less, agreeing for less? Why is CBSE allowing a poor performance? Why are they changing all of the things?
No, because